E hika mā tēnā tātou katoa. Nau mai hoki mai ki tēnei kawenga kōrero o Turanga Health is Wealth. Welcome back to our final episode of Turanga Health is Wealth, where we've explored some of the programs and some of the people that make our local hauora Māori provider here in Turanganui Kiwa what it is today and the difference it's making to some of our whānau in our community. Today we're going to wrap up by talking to someone who's been involved in some research that's really shown the value of some of the programs Turanga Health runs. Joining me is Ngahuia Mita. Tēnā koe.
Kia ora, tēnā koe.
Kai te pēhea.
Ai, kei te ora.
Tell me about your involvement, your work at Turanga Health and how the research started.
So, tēnā koutou, whakarongo maina ko Ngahuia tōku ingoa hūria hau no konei, no tautanga maha ki Ngāti Konohi, no Ngāti Hakua no Hoki. So I am, part of the research team at Turanga Health, and my particular involvement, I work on a project that's looking at social return on investment, sort of measuring the value and impact that Turanga Health is having for our whānau. And so the project itself sort of pre-exists my mahi in it, but I came in as a research fellow a couple of years ago, and just to be the person from the University of Otago, but on the ground here at home, to be looking into, what is this tool, social return on investment, and then how can we use it to show some of the amazing impact that Turanga Health has for our whānau.
So I guess, what were the things that you were looking for?
So within the project, we've got 3 case studies. So we looked at firstly Turanga Health's COVID response, and then the kaumātua program, and we're finishing off currently working on the tamariki order service. And basically, as I say, the thinking behind the project initially was just looking at social return on investment is quite popular at the moment with the new social investment agency as well. And so the thinking behind the project was to see if we could, or what social return on investment would look like in a hauora setting. And then within the project, we've done those 3 case studies in order to sort of paint a picture of the value and impact that Turanga Health's having,
So when we're talking value, how do we measure that, I guess?
Our losses, that's a great question, and it's one of the big take we've been working throughout this project. So part of it was to look at whether this methodology is sort of fit for purpose in a hauora Māori setting, and along the way we've found there's been a number of challenges, as you can imagine, and as the whānau can imagine, because many of the things that our community, get out of what Turanga Health offers to whānau and our hapori are difficult to measure in terms of a, non-Māori valuation model. And so that part of it was also kind of gave us an exciting challenge where we could seek to, whakamana both sides of that coin, where we people were telling us, for example, in the kaumātua program, that the main outcome that was important for them was around whanaungatanga, and then our challenge there was to then go into existing what they call value banks to try and look at how we could marry that up with some type of value. And that's been a really interesting process. One of the ways we've understood it is talking about it in terms of uaratanga, and so that's sort of the catchphrase we've used to look at the duality of uara as values, as our inherent values as Māori, be that manaakitanga, whanaungatanga, mana, etc. And then uara also in terms of valuing monetary valuation and acknowledging that we also play a role in that space of ohanga. And so how do we whakamana what the whānau are saying and what is of value to them, whilst at the same time sort of dare to be brave, encourage whairewati, to try and put some sort of monetary valuation on it as well, so that he has something he can take into those different conversations and to those different tables to be able to say, hey, look, if you invest in us, this is actually how much value we can derive for our people in monetary terms, but also our whānau are in turn thriving, which is one of the key drivers behind everything Turanga Health does.
So in terms of the money, let's talk money, because we know, it does take money for these programs to be run by Turanga Health, but it's not a lot of money.
No.
So the sorts of kōrero and outcomes would be great for someone to have at the table, especially when you're talking to government services or people that are looking to finance programs that Turanga Health runs.
Yeah. And so, you're right. A lot of the investment side of what we've been looking at within these services or programs, it's not a lot of money in the span of, if we step back and look at across the entire health system, for example, it's modest amounts of pūtea, but what we've been finding in our research is that in terms of a social return on investment ratio, what they call it, we're producing quite high, I guess, ratios. So in the COVID response, it was just over $4.50 per dollar invested, and then for the kaumātua program that sits right up at nearly $9 per dollar invested. And so there's a whole lot of work too that goes into that whole process, and it's to make sure in terms of the social return on investment principles that you're aligning well to them, and they have a particular principle that says don't overclaim. And so throughout the whole process, we sort of wānanga that and make sure, one, we're upholding the important whakaaro and value that our whānau are telling us, but also that we're being transparent in the way we try and work out what then is being created. But in terms of a social return on investment ratio, they're really quite strong. And we already know that intuitively that our whānau really value what Turanga Health does for them, and what they get out of the programs and services. So it's just really cool and exciting to be able to come alongside and also show that in those terms, particularly for someone like Rewati to be able to take to those different tables or room season to be able to say, we can see it through our whānau thriving, however, here's also a monetary term that we can use to explain it.
Because some of the whānau that I've spoken to on the podcast have said that they've lived in other regions, and a lot of the programs that they're involved in at Turanga Health, they weren't in their rohe, so it's something quite unique.
Yeah. We heard that a lot through kōrero with our kaumātua. A number of them valued and said that they had other whanaunga and friends that were quite jealous of them when they would hear about the Turanga Health kaumātua program. And then the same, obviously, with the COVID rollout and how that looked and felt for our community, and then what's kind of spilled out of that in terms of a Turanga Health approach, and how the kaimahi and kaiawhina are able to sort of roll that out again with other health challenges we're facing. And then now in the project we're currently doing around tamariki ora, hearing a lot of the same thing, that people really value the way and the ethos, I guess, the tikanga that the Turanga Health kaimahi follow, and how they feel really cared for and supported, which is one of the, we know that's one of the overarching goals of Turanga Health, but it's very cool as the research team to be able to hear that out in the community as well.
So what can we take from this? Where do you think, this kōrero can lead to? There's
a few, I guess, things we're trying to take away from the rangahau. For us, our sort of core motivation is leaving something of a legacy that Turanga Health can use and apply now and into the future. In terms of this research specifically, we've produced sort of like a number of reports that'll sit alongside the work that Turanga Health does, and again be a resource for the senior leadership to use in the different spaces. It's also been an awesome opportunity to do some quite in-detail evaluation of the services and programs that Turanga Health provide. Often that is missing, and that's just due to the kaimahi being flat out and serving the community and not having the time actually to have an in-depth look at what's actually happening. So there'll be sort of a number of different outcomes. We're looking to do a sort of half-day online session where we share out to other hauora Māori as well, just to share with them our experiences and our findings, and for those of them wanting to perhaps do some social return on investment work. I guess the way the health system's currently moving to, there's a lot of desire for that sort of language and mahi at the moment, and so yeah, really cool to be able to share our experiences, but also just maybe contribute to some of the systems at Turanga Health where they can use kind of the model we have in this work to keep being able to tell the Turanga Health story in a Turanga Health way, which we know is unique, and we've seen that over and over again in the research, but it also goes across everything that the organisation's done, which is really awesome to see, yeah.
And for you personally, what is it like to be able to use your skills and experience and this type of mahi for this type of kaupapa? Yeah,
it's been really amazing opportunity for myself. I did my PhD mahi alongside our waka haurua, and this opportunity to work within Turanga Health through the University of Otago came up. It's like quite different to my background in waka, and so, but also quite fitting. I think, there's a lot that we can take in terms of the toolbox that social return on investment offers to help make all of the kaupapa we're involved with shine. We already know they're great. We know that there is a massive cultural capital here in Te Tairāwhiti in our place, and so that's one of the big learnings that I've found, being able to translate that in a way through this work, and I think it'll sort of contribute to being able to help in lots of different other places and spaces, which has been really cool.
Is this, so after this research, do you stay on at Turanga Health, or is this just a one-off kaupapa for you? Or?
So there'll be some finishing off to do in the new year, but I've recently been awarded a research fellowship which takes me back over to being based at the Tairāwhiti Voyaging Trust. So we're really fortunate to be supported in that way by the Royal Society, but as we all know, connected to Turanga Health, you don't quite leave there forever, and so it's been really rewarding for me working back at home and being a part of the Turanga Health whānau as somebody who grew up here. As we all know, Turanga Health isn't too far from anybody in the community, and so I'll always probably have a foot in the door at Turanga Health to just contribute to the continued growing, especially of the rangahau. That's sort of my background, and so I'm really keen to support the whānau to build some sustainability into that part of the operation, so that the massive work that everybody does sort of feeds into a bit of an evidence base.
Well, kia ora, Ngahuia. Thank you very much. We'll finish there, because we're getting hot in here. This beautiful Tairāwhiti weather, but thank you very much for joining us. Nō reira, koera te whakakapinga o tā tātou kaupapa o Turanga Health is Wealth. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou i whakarongo mai, i mātakitaki mai, i a tātou kōrero ātāhua, a tātou kōrero whai wāhi nui kia tāua o te iwi, ngā iwi o te Tairāwhiti. Well, that's a wrap, as they say, for Turanga Health is Wealth. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed all the kōrero. Ngā mihi nui. Kia ora tātou katoa.